If you struggle with your overhead, so you tend to make too many errors, then in this video I should be able to help you with that, because I'm going to show you a drill that you can work on. It is really simple, but it's going to help to fix maybe 2 or 3 of the most common things that cause players to miss. So I hope you find the video helpful. If you do, give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel before, much appreciated if you could do that as well. So maybe the number 1 reason that players miss overheads is because they don't get back quickly enough, they don't get set up in the right position in time. Potentially the number 2 reason that players miss is because they're not keeping their head up and watching the ball through to contact. And we can actually work on both of these together by practicing footwork patterns. Overhead footwork is really unusual and weird, and unless you've practiced it very intentionally, or you're just a natural born insanely talented athlete, it won't be very easy for you. So you have to practice it, do repetitions, get more comfortable with it, and then when you're playing, it's going to get much easier and more likely that you can hit a consistent shot. So we're going to be landing from the split step. Very quick recap, we want a nice white stable split step, especially when we're at the net. We have to be reactive, we have to be nice and low, so we want a wide split step where we're landing on the balls of our feet, ideally just after our opponent makes contact, so then we can react visually and then we can start to move. But I don't want to spend too much time on the split step. What I want to focus on is the first step and the second step afterwards, and I'm going to show you kind of 2 progressions for depending how athletic you are. So the first one, we're going to land, we're going to open up and then do a drop step. Obviously notice that I'm preparing with my upper body slightly as I do it. Depending on your level, maybe you're going to be in there, or maybe you've been working with a coach and just want to get straight back into that position. Whatever works, the thing that we're focusing on here is the landing, the opening up of the hip, opening up the pelvis, and as I land, I'll lower my center of gravity. I'm going to push off this leg to help me move out. Depending how flexible you are, this might look different, but as a general thing, you're going to land, push off, and then try and drop this foot kind of underneath you. What we want is a positive shin angle like that, so we can push in that direction. So if I land, I open up, push to help me get a big crossover step, because we want to land, open up, and then move back as quickly as we can. Land, open up, push back, and move us back as quickly as we can. And we're doing it with that crossover step. Now, depending how far back the ball is, maybe I add in a couple more crossover steps. Maybe I do a shuffle step. Maybe I get it wrong and have to shuffle forwards. There's different options, but what I want you to focus on is the first part, which is landing and getting that first step. So land, and it might look more athletic than when I do it, or it might look less athletic. It's going to be relative to where you are now, and you have to work to try and improve it. But that's the first variation. The second variation, which is only going to happen if you're more athletic, and it's also only going to happen if you can read the flight of the ball quickly enough and time the split step, is you'll land, and instead of pushing off like that, you will now kind of bounce into it. So you land immediately, you start to rotate quickly, and you do this kind of hop movement where you land and then push off. And it's only a few hundredths of a second faster, but it's a few hundredths of a second faster. So when the ball is going quickly over your head, the ability to do that makes a huge difference. It's also going to cause you to get lower, which is then, a couple of steps and I'm nearly at the baseline. But they're the 2 movement patterns to practice. Now, when you do the actual shadow portion, because you're all going to want to practice that part as well, just make sure that you're keeping your head up. So exaggerate it so we can work on that as well, because the balance requirements for people to jump in the air while looking up are incredibly high. So practice it without the ball first, and then you've kind of got a little progression. And if you work on this for a few minutes every time you warm up before you play, it's not going to take long before your overheads are way more consistent. Now, something that's also going to be really important for this is just basically your underlying abilities. So firstly, your ability to quickly read the flight of the ball. If you don't read the flight of the ball quickly, you're not going to be able to use the second variation, but just on the first variation, you're going to be slow. Like I've said, it requires a tremendous amount of balance to be able to do this, and it also requires a lot of coordination. The good news, though, is that you can actually train and improve all that stuff using brain-based training. And I'd like to teach you how to do it in a free Neuro Tennis Challenge. So this is an event where you come and spend 5 days with me, and I teach you how to use brain-based training to improve your vision, your balance, and your coordination. So I'll place a link to that down in the description. Click on that link. It'll take you over to a different page where you can register if that's something that you're interested in. If not, no problem. Work on these footwork patterns. They're going to be one of the really important pieces of the puzzle for helping you to hit more consistent overheads. Okay, hopefully you found the video helpful. Get out there, practice it. Don't just watch these videos, work on the patterns, see what happens, and I'll catch you next time.